Hi everyone. Salesforce Development Day 5. Let's see what we are going to learn today. Today's agenda is we'll go through the previous session, quickly go through the previous session overview. And then we will little bit talk about the HTML and the differences between the HTML and HTML 5.0. And then we will talk about the list of input VisualForce tags. And then what is the decode of the VisualForce tag and understanding the each VisualForce tag, and we will take one of the client requirement, and then we will talk about the along with the list of input VisualForce tag, we will talk about the output label. So our output VisualForce tag client requirement, and then we will see the quiz and we will have a homework. Now remember, few members they will say VisualForce tag, few members will say component, VisualForce component. So VisualForce tag or VisualForce component both are same. So don't get confused. VisualForce tag, some members will say VisualForce component. Now last class we have seen, what are the tags that we have seen in the last class?
Page button, page block section, comments,
command button.
comment.
Okay. So last we have seen how to create a page block section, command button, page block buttons, right? So for example, here I am displaying the page block company, and this side I'm going to display the help title. Let's say that company details. Company details. Company details, we will display it. And the other side, now here it is a company title. What are the page block title is there? The page block title. And then we are displaying the page block section. Now here page block section is, we will display here, let's say employee details. Right, same thing below also. Let's say here the details are employee details, and then let's say employee previous company details. Right, so this is what we will display. And this is what we have implemented, how to implement this one, right? Now, today we are going to go further to understand in-depth level, few more details, few more VisualForce tags, how to create it. But before doing that, let's understand the HTML point. HTML, little bit introduction about the HTML. Right, so HTML is, first of all, HTML is nothing but it's a primary language of the World Wide Web. It's a primary language. So HTML was introduced very long back. It was introduced very long back, and it never changes the tag. Right, whatever the code is there, it will be always same. And this is the primary language for the World Wide Web. HTML is nothing but a hypertext markup language. It's a primary language for the World Wide Web, and developer use it to design the web page such as a text, hyperlink, and multimedia files. So HTMLs are used in multiple places, Java, Salesforce, Python, so many places we use it Java. We use a HTML. Right, so HTML is in order to design the web page. Wherever you are designing the web page, everywhere we use the HTML. Right. So HTML versions, there are few versions. Initially, when the HTML version was released in the, let's take it as in 1992. In 1992, it was a HTML 2.0. HTML was there before also, but I'm just taking it from 1992. 1992, it was the version of HTML 2.0. HTML 2.0. Usually, HTML does not change their code. Usually, they does not change. It's not a frequent changes on the HTML. They do the changes, but it's not a frequent changes. But in 1992, we were having a very few comments in the HTML. So it was the HTML 2.0. Then later in 1997, they have released a new version which is called as a HTML 3.2. New version which is called as a HTML 3.2. Now this HTML version was little more information added into the HTML. Then later, after again in 1999, they have released a HTML 4.01. That time there were few more changes into the HTML because that's the time where the Chrome also getting updated. That's the time Chrome was also getting updated during the 1999. Chrome and few technologies were coming into the market. And similarly, there are so many changes were happened in the 1999. Now, at the same time, HTML also got upgraded to the few commands and few released it because it has to support latest Chrome information. What is the latest Chrome is there? It has to support. And after that, in the 2015, they have released the HTML 5.0. 5.0 is the one where it was like, so what are the latest technology? Java was also introduced few things in the 2015, right? So in the 2015, Java upgraded it, and also along with the Java, HTML also they have upgraded it, and they have released the latest version 5.0. 5.0. If you observe in between this 1999 2015, Salesforce also released so many things. Salesforce also released so many things in between 1999 and 2015. Now, after 1999, exactly after 1 year, Salesforce has released the 2015. VisualForce, they have introduced it in 2010. Right, and also VisualForce got updated in 2015. Why the VisualForce got updated? Because at the same time, Java was updated, JavaScript was updated, HTML was updated in order to support each and everything. Now all three were updated together. Right, in 2015, it was a change. I can say that it is a lightning change as well as yeah, basically it is a lightning change, and few more JavaScript were released. Latest version of the JavaScript was released. So that was the time where the technology was upgraded. Wherever you see the technology was upgraded in the 2015. So in order to support all the technologies in the 2015, HTML also released the latest things in the version HTML 5.0. Now after that, few more changes were came. 2016 it was a HTML 5.1 and 2017 HTML 5.2. But the here main thing is that the key thing is HTML 5.0. HTML 5.0. That's the reason if you are implementing a code by using the latest JavaScript, or if you are displaying in the Chrome, right? Or if you are some keywords are there in the VisualForce also. In the VisualForce, few tags were introduced. Few tags were introduced. Those tags are supports only HTML 5.0. Only HTML 5.0. They will not support below the HTML 5.0. There are a few VisualForce tags which are introduced in the 2015. Those VisualForce tags are supported to the only HTML 5.0. It does not support the below. So that's the reason whenever you are specifying the tag, few tags are there. I will tell you what are those tags. Whenever you are writing a few tags, it will expect that you have to mention the HTML 5.0. Otherwise, these tags does not work. Otherwise, these tags does not work because they both are got upgraded. Even JavaScript also, whenever you are using a JavaScript, it will tell you to use the HTML 5.0. Otherwise, the JavaScript does not work. Right? There is a interrelated. During this time, what are the technologies are introduced? They were interrelated or directly linked to the HTML 5.0. Directly linked to the HTML 5.0. Now, let's move on. If anybody wants to take a notes, please take a notes of it. Okay. So let's move on. So let's see the differences between the HTML and HTML 5.0 because this is the one which is upgraded very huge upgrade in the 5.0. So there is sometimes they will ask you in the interview. Nowadays they are not asking the differences between the HTML and HTML 5.0. At least you should be knowing it. What is the differences between the HTML and HTML 5.0? The first difference is HTML is a markup language used for building the web pages. Whereas 5.0, HTML 5.0 it's a fifth version of the HTML. And whatever you have a older elements, whatever you have a older elements, if you are presenting many older elements in the HTML, they were modified it. What are the old elements are there? They have modified in order to support the latest technology. Or there are some new elements are added for a better functionality. In HTML 5.0, what is the change happened? Many older elements are got upgraded or got modified in order to support the latest technology, or else there are few elements which are added for a better functionality. And the second one is HTML. Usually it runs smoothly on older browser. If you have a Google Chrome or a Microsoft Edge, if you have older versions, HTML works perfectly fine. I cannot say that it does not work for the new browser. It will work for a new browsers also. It will work for new browsers also. But only thing is that if your VisualForce tags, what are the VisualForce tags are there? If your VisualForce tags are going to support the older version of the HTML, then it will display the as usual. In the new browser also it will display until unless you do not use any code within the VisualForce that supports the only latest browser. If you're writing the code in the VisualForce and that code is only supports the latest browser, in that case the HTML does not work. Whereas HTML 5.0 is it runs smoothly on the even older browser as well as the new browser, but especially the new browser it runs smoothly, right? Like a version, Google Chrome version 61 or more than that, or you have a Microsoft Firefox version 4 to 63, like whatever you have, and Edge, Microsoft Edge latest version. So those are the what are the latest versions are there. If you are along with the latest version, if you are using the latest code, right, the latest version of the JavaScript, the latest code of the VisualForce, then it has to be used in the HTML 5.0. And HTML is a JavaScript is not allowed to run on the browser directly. JavaScript is not allowed to run directly on the browser. Whereas 5.0, it is always expects the JavaScript to run on the browser. That means runs the JavaScript always onto the client side directly by using the web JavaScript web worker API. And the next one is in the HTML, usually we use the shapes like a circle, rectangle, triangle, right, are not possible to draw in the HTML, whereas it is possible to use in the HTML5. You can draw those rectangle, triangle, circles, or if you want to use any other different circles or different triangles, you can use it using the HTML5. So basically, overall, if I have to say HTML is the older version, it is not a faster, it is a efficient. It is not a fast and efficient and flexible with the respect to the HTML5. Whereas HTML 5.0 is efficient and it is a faster and it is a flexible, right? And in comparison compared to HTML 5.0 is it much faster. Take notes of it.
Ma'am, suppose we are writing code in Notepad and saving with the extension of HTML, then what we can consider that as even like HTML or HTML 5.0?
What is the code you are writing in the text?
Any HTML code.
Use the HTML 5.0 because nowadays everybody is using the HTML 5.0. It is depending on what is the code you are writing in the text. If you are writing the code in the text, like a paragraph, break, or if you are using a div, those does not require the HTML 5.0. There are few latest keywords. If you are using those latest keywords, then only it will consider you to use the automatically system is going to throw you that you have to use the HTML 5.0.
Okay, so do we need to make any setup for that, whether I want to use for HTML or HTML 5.0?
In VisualForce, whenever you are writing the VisualForce, yes, we have to do that. So I'm going to tell that not the setup exactly, but the code you need to make the changes.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on. So that's the differences between the HTML and HTML 5.0. Now here, last class, we have implemented this kind of a pages, right? And what are we going to do is within the within the each section. Now, how can I include a fields? Now, I wanted to include a one text field here. I wanted to include a text field. Now, this is one text field, this is another text field, this is another text field. For example, employee first name. Employee first name. Employee first name. Similarly, here employee last name. Employee last name. So these information I wanted to add within the section. Now, whenever we wanted to add within the section, now what is expecting here? We are expecting the input field. These are the input field. These are our input field. Sometimes I need to enter the text area. Now I need a address details. If I want a address details, it has to be in the text has to be shown in the longer, right? Now here the user has to enter the text. Now this is a employee address. Employee address. Now this box has to be shown little longer or broader. But these information I wanted to show in the employee details. In the employee details I wanted to show. Now how can we display here? Now there are two type of a fields are there. Now if you observe here what we are saying that here wherever the box it is showing, it is called as a input field. Now if you go here account, and when we go to the account, now let's open up the account. Now click on a detail section. Now click on the edit button. Now if you observe, here, let's click on the account detail section. Click on the edit. Now, so this is the where user is entering the data. Where user is entering the data. And this side you have a label name. This is called label name. Now this is field label. This is field label. And this side is whatever the field is, whatever the data is entered. This is the input text. Input text. This is input text, right? So this input text is where it is expecting the information from the user. It is expecting the information from the user. Now there are two things are there. One is a label, one is a input text. Now we are going to see how to add this input text. How to add this input text, right? While adding the input text, you can mention the label. For now, I'm going to mention the label using the label, just hard coded. So, okay, so we will see what will happen if I do hard coded. If I want exactly similar to the label, if I want this way, how can we display it? So here two things are there. One is a label, one is a input text. Similarly, we have a different type of a input text are there. We have a different type of input text. Now here this is the input text and here this is a longer one. Right, billing sheet, if you see, it's a longer one. This is a kind of a long information, right? And then we have so many informations are there, like you have a checkbox, you have a checkbox field. Now, whatever these informations are there, how can you display this data exactly in the Salesforce, in the VisualForce? By using the VisualForce, how can you display this kind of a information? How to bring it? Now I'm going to, there are few commands or few tags or few VisualForce components which are available in the VisualForce. By using the VisualForce tags, then we can include this like this, we can include it. Now one more thing just for a hint, this one. Now if you click on here profile, now you have a display density. There is a display density. If you click on a company, now it will display the label and field line by line. That means first it will display the label, below that it will display the input text. First here it is label. On top it is a label and below it is a field. Right? This is the format. This is the display format. On top it is going to display the label and below it is going to display the field. But if you change from comfy to compact, then what will happen? The way of viewing the data will be different. It will be label. Beside that, there will be a input field. Now see here. This is the label and this is the input field. So this is the way how you wanted to view it. So Salesforce has given some option here in the profile. Display density, comfy and compact. Compact is nothing but label and field will input text will be displayed side by side. Whereas a comfy is label is displayed on top. Below that text will be input text will be displayed. Right now, if I wanted to add this kind of a scenario in the VisualForce, I wanted to build this kind of a UI using the VisualForce. Now, how can we implement using the VisualForce? Now, in the VisualForce, there are few commands which are available. Those are input commands. Those are input commands. The first one is in case if you want to just display the text. In case if you want to just display the text, that means you just wanted to display the single text. Now, here this is the single one. A user can enter here. Now, which is called as a input text. Input text. Input text. Now text is input text. Now in case if you want to add little broader information like this you wanted to add. Like this you wanted to add here. This is a little broader. That means you can enter more information here. You can enter more information. Now in case if you want to add this kind of a text field, then we have to go for a text area, input text area. Apex colon input text area. Right, and the third one is a hidden, input hidden, apex colon, input hidden. What is this input hidden is, I want this input field to be present on the UI. I want input field to be present on the UI, but this should not be visible to the user. This should not be visible to the user. Why we need this kind of information? Maybe only developers are required this. Only developers are required. Only developers are, these fields are required. UI does not need. For example, let's say scenario is, now we are capturing the input information. Now I am capturing the birthday. Right? Now user is entered the birthday field. As soon as the user entered the birthday information, nobody would like to see the age. But we need that age for the backend purpose. We need age for the backend purpose. So there is a field. There is a field here. After the birth date, there is a field which says age. Which says age. But this age field is, we will not show you to the client, or we will not show it to the user. This field is does not visible to the user. It is not visible to the user, but it is present at the backend because whenever there is a age is coming here, what are the ages coming here? This age, based on this age, we wanted to perform. Developers want to perform certain logic or execute certain logic. So, for example, government. If you are updating the government or a passport, or you are applying for a Aadhaar card, whatever these things are there. So government related things. So whenever you enter the birthday, automatically you have to calculate the age and display the age. But some government, they will not display the few information at the backend. Right, so they will be stored at the backend, they will not show into the UI. So those are called as a input fields. Those are called as a input fields. And the next one is the input secret. Secret field. This is basically whenever you are entering the information. For example, you are adding the bank details to the in the Salesforce object. You are adding the bank details in the Salesforce object. Whenever you add a bank details in the Salesforce object, you might need to enter some information. Right. So whenever you are adding the bank account number, right? So it should show me all the secret fields here. It should show me all the secret numbers. You are actually entering some numbers, but it is displayed in the star mark. It will display in the star mark. Similarly, few more, we have a checkbox. It is normal checkbox field. In case if you want to add a checkbox, into the VisualForce page, now that can be captured using the apex colon input checkbox. You can build it using the apex colon input checkbox. Apex colon input checkbox. And the sixth one is upload. Upload is basically if you want to upload the file. Now these are the couple of input field, input VisualForce tag, input VisualForce component. By using this, you can implement most of the UI. You can implement most of the UI by using this. Now take a notes of it. Taking the notes of it. Okay. Let's move on. Okay. Yeah, this is on the VisualForce. Whenever you wanted to build the UI, that time if you want to add an input text, only there we are going to use these tags. Yes, input secret is visible. Now we will see how to use each one of them. We will see. Right now, let's go ahead and see the next one. Now here, if you take any VisualForce tag or if you take any VisualForce component, how to decode the input text, how to decode the input text area, how to decode the input hidden, how to decode the input secret, how to decode the input checkbox, how to decode the input file. Anything you take it, there are any VisualForce tag you take it, there are two things are there, right? One is a self-closed, which is called as a self-closed, which is apex colon component name attributes, and you have a self-closed here. One is the self-closed tag, and the second one is you have a open VisualForce tag and then closed VisualForce tag. Right, whether it is a self-closed or open and close VisualForce tag, before the colon, it is always called as a prefix namespace. It is always called as a prefix namespace. This is also prefix namespace. Then what are the component is there here, 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 those are all called as a component name. If it is a input, just use the input text. If it is a input text area, then input text area is a component. If it is a input hidden is a component name. So that is the VisualForce component name. Now similarly, after the component name, we can add the attributes. What are the attributes we want? We can add the different attributes. We can add different attributes. Right, so first we will see each one of the description. Each one of the description. Now input apex colon input text. Apex colon input text. It is a self-closed VisualForce tag. It is self-closed VisualForce tag. We will use this component to display the input text field. Input text field. Similarly, the next one is apex colon input text area. This is also self-closed VisualForce tag. We will use this component to display the input text area. To display the input text area. And the third one is apex colon input hidden. It is a self-closed tag, and we use this component to hide the input field. To hide the input field. Now we do not want to show on the UI. We wanted to hide that input field, but I wanted to capture the value that is used in that input field. Right? So those are input field. And the next one is input secret. Input secret. Input secret is also a self-closed VisualForce tag, and it is used as the component for a masked what are the data we are entering, what are the pin code or what are the bank number we are entering there. It will display as a masked text, right? User typing it, it will convert the actual number to the some star or dot. It will convert into the dot or star. Similar to the whatever you are entering while logging into the bank account. So whenever you log into the bank account, you enter the username password, right? When you are entering the password, you are actually entering the password. But what is happening? It is displaying in the star dots. It will display as a dots. It will not show you the what is the data entered there. What is the data entered there? It will just show the dot dot dot. Similarly, input secret also same. And the next one is apex colon input checkbox. Apex colon input checkbox. This is also self-closed VisualForce tag. This is used as the component to display the checkbox for a user input. Checkbox for user input. Right, wherever you need an input for the checkbox, like have you worked previously, that is a checkbox. And if you want to take a gender details, that is also checkbox. And next one is a apex colon input file. Apex colon input file. So this input file is also a self-closed VisualForce tag. We will use this component to upload the file. Now take a notes of it, then we will go for a practical. Done? Shall I move on? Okay. Take the notes of this also. Completed? Okay. Let's go on. Okay, so let's move. So there is a requirement. Assume that this is the requirement. The requirement is we are building the VisualForce page for the hospital. We are building the VisualForce page for the hospital. Now here I have a patient detail section is there. This is the patient detail section. Now within this patient detail section, I have a one input field which is called as a patient name, and the next one which we have a patient address, and then patient phone number, and then working is the patient is working or not, and then I have a choose a file. I have a choose a file, and at the bottom it is displaying the save button. Now I have to add this information into the VisualForce page. I have to add this information into the VisualForce page. Now, if I want to add this, what is the VisualForce tag that I need to use it?
Input text.
Input text. So this is apex colon input text. How about this one? The second one, I wanted to add a patient address details.
Text
Text
area.
area.
Input text area. And then we have a phone number.
Text area. Text.
Secret.
Salesforce phone numbers are always accept the text as well as the numbers. So I'll go for a input text. And working, whether it is a checkbox, true or false. Now, which tag do I need to use it?
Input checkbox.
Input checkbox. And next one is I wanted to upload a file from my browser, from my local system. From my local system, I wanted to upload a file to the VisualForce tag, VisualForce page.
Input file.
Apex colon input file. So these are the tags which I'm going to use it. These all tags are, where is it within the which tag? We have these all input tags are there, but these tags are
Page block.
within the
Page block.
section.
page block section. We have a page block section. This is page block section. And this page block section is within the what?
Page block.
Page block.
On top, we have it. This one is. On top, we have this is a page block. Apex colon page block. And on top of a page block, what is there?
Page. Form.
Page or
Form.
Apex form.
there is a thin layer here, which is their apex form. Because why we are using the form here? We are expecting the user data. We are expecting the user information. So this is apex form. Then on top of it, the final one is apex colon page. Right, so page. So we have a page and then form, within the form page block, within the page block we have a page block section, then we have a input apex colon input VisualForce tags, then we have a command button. Now this command button is within the page block button because it is displaying in center bottom. So it is in the page buttons. So these are the commands which I am going to use it. These are the VisualForce tags which I am going to use it right now. Right, so let's go ahead and implement this in the Salesforce. Click on cancel. Now let's say click on setup, developer console. We copy and paste it in the Chrome. Okay. Now let's go ahead and implement a new VisualForce page. In order to create a VisualForce page, click on a file, new, click on a VisualForce page. Now here I am creating the VisualForce page for a patient, let's say hospital. VF _hospital. Now by default, it will display as a apex colon page. Now I know that within this, I need to add a apex form because we are going to expect the input from the user. Now I'm adding the open VisualForce tag of the apex form and close VisualForce tag of the apex form. Within this, I need to use the apex colon page block. Apex colon page block, and then I'm going to use the title equal to, let's say this is the ABC hospitals. ABC hospital. Now along with this, I'm also going to display the help title. Let's say more details. More details. Now here help URL is, let's say I'm going to give the https://www.salesforce.com. This is the page block. Within the page block, I'm going to add a page block section. How many sections we have? Only one section, which is just a patient details. Page block section. Now within this page block section, I'm going to add a title equal to patient details. Patient details. Now within this, now I'm going to use the patient name, patient address, patient phone number, working. Right, so what I'll do is right now, I'll just hard code it. Right, for example, usually what people does is just hard code it because patient name, patient address, patient phone number, whatever you have it. So basically, I need to display the information here. So which is a patient name, patient address, and patient phone number. Patient phone number. Then we have a working. And then finally, I have an upload file. These are the fields I wanted to display. Right now, if you view this preview, click on a preview. What is happening in the single line? It is displaying it. patient name, patient address, patient phone number, working, upload file, everything is displayed in the single line. Now what I'll do is, I'll say here, patient name is a input field. It's a input text. Right? So instead of hard coding here, what I can do is I can simply, let's say I'm going to go for, here I'm going to display apex colon input text Now let's save it. It has so many attributes. Now let's click on a preview. What it is happening, patient name and the input text is displaying here. Input text is displaying it. Similarly, what I'll do is for the patient address, I'll add patient address is what is required. Apex colon input text area. Input text area. Click on save. Now the input text area also displaying the patient address. Next, what we need, phone number. Phone number is a input text. Phone number is input text. Apex colon input text. Click on save. Now phone number is displaying the input text. Next, we have a working and upload file. Working is a checkbox. So I'll say that apex colon input checkbox. And the next one we have a apex colon input file. Input file. Now let's click on save. Missing the required field at the 10th level. Okay, input file is expecting the required field. Now what is the required field it need? It required the value. It required the value, say let's say value equal to upload file. It is uploading the file. Here you need to choose file. Right? So this is how you are displaying the data. Now, here if you look at the code, UI does not, you will not see any differences in UI. UI seems very good. Now at the bottom we need to add the button. We will add the button later. But assume that here I wanted to display the patient name, patient address, patient phone number, working, upload file. What we are doing is we are just hard coding it and giving it as a just simply a text box, text information and giving it. But ideally, when we look at the code wise, these are actually a label. These all are labels. Now this is label. Now this is a label. Now instead of printing here like this patient name, right, patient address, patient phone number, working, upload file, what we can do is we have a one more VisualForce tag which is called as a output label. We have a output label. So this output label is a open and a close. That means it has an open VisualForce tag and close VisualForce tag. And we will use this component to display the output label. We will use this VisualForce tag to display the output label. Now, right now, what are the output labels are there? I'm just displaying as a text. But what is that is actually it is a label. It is actually a label. Now, similarly, when you go to the Salesforce, right? When you go to the Salesforce, in the Salesforce, you have a label. There is a standard way of displaying the label instead of a hard coding there. Right, in this output label, we have a few attributes which are called as a value and style. Value and style. Value is what is the value you wanted to display. If you want to update any style, you can add the style. But these two attributes, value is mandatory for the output label. Value is mandatory for the output label. So, for example, if you see the output label, now whenever you go to the output label in the VisualForce tag, or if you go here Salesforce, this is a label, right? This is a label. Now this label is displaying with the proper details and it has a proper way of displaying it. So you can write it this also, you can write it output label also. But what is the difference if you use the output label? If you use the output label, now if somebody is looking at the code, let's assume that for the patient name, I'll remove here the patient name. I'll remove the patient name. Now here I am going to add apex colon output label. In the output label, mandatory attribute is a value equal to patient name. Now within this output label, we are going to add input text. Right? So within the output label, I'm adding the text. Now if you observe this, what is happened, sudden changes are happened. Now before how it was displaying it was displaying in the everything in a single column. Everything is in single column. Let's say it's saving it. Now what is happening? Everything is in a single line. There is a lot of spaces there between these two. Label and what are the text field is, input text fields are displaying it. There is a lot of space between these two. But do we really need this much space? Now, if you decrease it, also it is so much space it is going to display. But if you look at this, the Salesforce one, so there is a only minimum differences is there, minimum space is there between the label and text. It's not a too long. It's not a too long. Now, for example, I wanted to display in the two columns, right? I wanted to display in the similar concept of what are the Salesforce has it. Similar concept of Salesforce has it. Now, what I'll do is I'll add another page block section. I'll not touch this. Now, at the bottom, now this is page block details with output label. Right, I have it. This is page block section. Page block. I'm adding another page block here. Let's save this. Now I have two page blocks. One is on the top and second one is at the bottom. Now this is without output label. This is with output label. The first one is without output label. Now let me add here output label. Apex colon output label. Now within this output label, now here the attribute which is required is value equal to whatever the name is there. Within this output label, we have to specify the input text. Input text always has to be within the output label. Now similarly, I'll be adding the output label for the patient address. Here it is the patient address. And this is the patient address details. And we'll close it after the input text area. Now similarly, I'll be adding the output label. Now here this one is a phone number. This is phone number, and then I'll close this output label. Similarly, I'm going to add for the working. And close the output label. And then upload file, I'll keep it as it is. Let's save this. Now, if you see here, as soon as I added the output label, immediately it says that whatever the each line it is displaying it, like in the each line it is divided into the 2 columns. Now let me show you in the inspect. Right click and inspect it. Now here it is. Now whatever the within the page block, right? Page block is a div, and within that we have added the page block section, and inside that we have added the output table. Now whenever we added the output table, right? So what it does, each row it is converted into the, now each table it has created 2 columns. In the table it created the 2 columns. This is one column, this is another column. And similarly at the bottom also it is created one column and another column. Now if you look at the another one, the row, whatever is there, it has a upload file is displaying 1, and the second column it is displaying the whatever the input file is there, input file. Now when you have a label is displayed in one column, and the input text field or input file is displaying another column. But when you are using the output label and the input text both are showing in the same column. Both are showing in the same column. But when you use a hard-coded upload file, now here hard-coded upload file is there. Hard-coded upload file is displaying in one column, and whatever the input tag you have added apex colon input file, that is showing you the another tag. Right? So the label will be displayed in, if you are not using the output label will be displayed in one column, and the text will be what are the apex colon input text, what are the apex VisualForce tags are there, those VisualForce tags are displayed in another column. Whereas in case if you use the output label and VisualForce tag both will be displayed in the same column. Both will be displayed in the same column. Both will be displayed in the same column. Any questions on this? Now we will add the command button at the bottom. Any questions so far on this? On the input field? Okay. So now let's move on. So how to add a command button? Yesterday we have discussed how to add a command button.
Use page block button first and then use the command button inside.
Okay, so after the page block, if I use apex colon command button, now inside the command button, what are the attributes that we have to use it? Action. In the
Value.
action, we have to use the merge field. And then what is other field? Other
Value.
attribute. Value. Value equal to save.
And also we have to add page block. Down.
Now here, where is the save button is displaying? Save button is displaying here. Now in case if I want a center, what should I need to do?
Page block button.
Apex colon, page block,
Button.
page block buttons. Within this, I'm going to add a command button. Location is top. If you want the bottom, it will display the bottom. Now here is the save button. Right? Similarly, if you want here also, you can add the save button. Now this is how the save button, whenever we have a different label and a input text like a hard-coded value and input text, then you can display like this. Otherwise, you can use the output label. If you use the output label, immediately everything gets changed and this will be displayed. Now, yes, in the same way, it will be there in the real time also. Now, for example, let's say that I'm going to use the another field which is called as a pin number. Now let me add one more here in the output label. I'll say here enter pin number. Enter pin number. Now here I'm going to use input secret. Input secret. Now let's click on a save. Now here it is. It says input pin number. Now here if I enter any value, what is happening? I'm actually entering some numbers here. It is showing in the masked text. And it is showing in the mask. Mask is nothing but you want a dot or you want a star, whatever is there. Now those will be displayed. Now here, now this is similar to the whenever you enter the user ID password. Right, when you enter the password, what will happen? Whatever you are entering, it will show in the all the dots. It will show in the all the dots. Similarly, input secret is also like what are the data you are entering it. It is actually taking the data at the back end, but only the UI will be they will be viewing the UI in the dot format. UI will be visible in the dot format. UI will be visible in the dot format. Page block button is basically if you want the button to be displayed in a certain place. Now you can, without a page buttons also you can add it. If you do not need it, it is fine. It is totally fine. But how it is going to display in the UI, In the UI, it is going to display the save button in the corner here. In the corner, it is going to display. Now, in case if you want to display in the corner, what happened? It did not save. Let's click on save button. Now it will display in the corner. But in case if you want to be displayed in the center here, or if you wanted to, you have a certain position, this button has to be displayed at the bottom or at top, it has to come in center. In that case, you will use the page block buttons. In case if you do not have a requirement for the displaying top, bottom, if you do not have those things, then it is fine. You can just use the command button. If clients are fine to display the save button here, then we can go ahead with the save button. Now, in case if the client says that we want the save button only here or only at the bottom, in that case you use the page block buttons. In that case, you will use the page block buttons. Now, can I use this page block buttons or a command button instead of within the page block? I wanted to use within the page block section. I wanted to use within the page block section. Now it is saying that it is not going to allow you to add the within the page block section. Not only this, now if you want to just simply add the page block button, if you want to simply add the command button, I do not want to use the page block. Now what is happened? It is displaying the save button here. If clients are fine to display the save button here, then you go ahead and display. Now this is displaying as a, now all the things are changed because it will consider this as a save button. You are displaying in the first column. Save button, you are displaying in the first column. You are displaying the save button in the first column. Then second column onwards, your label gets started. Your label gets started. Right? So always use the page block buttons under the page block and with the command button. Now, if you have a requirement, then only go for it. If you do not have a requirement to show in the center, in the top, bottom, there is no requirement, then do not use the page block buttons. You wanted to display everything in the single column. In that case, what you can do is, so for example, here we have a page block section. Now I wanted to use this columns equal to 1. I'll say columns equal to 1. Let's see what will happen. Everything is displaying in the one column. Everything is displaying in the one column. Now, for example, I wanted to display everything in the single line. That means I'll go for 8, column 8. Now, this is the column that we were discussing yesterday. In the page block section, we have an attribute called columns. Now, if you want everything to be displayed in the single line, then divide your page into the multiple columns. Now, what will happen here? If you click on inspect, right click, inspect. Now this is within the one column, it is displaying everything. This is also displaying in single column. So basically your page is divided into the multiple columns. This is one column, this is one column, like this, it is divided into the 8 columns. It is divided into the 8 columns. For example, let's suppose you wanted to make it in the mandatory field. Like in Salesforce, we have a mandatory field. If you observe this, before the label name, it shows as a mandatory, some red color icon is going to show. Some red color icon, star mark it is going to show. Right now, if you want to make the field as a mandatory, if you want to make the field as a mandatory, how can we make the field as a mandatory in the Salesforce? Now you can specify here input text. There are input text, there are few attributes. Now one of the attribute is called as a required. required equal to true. Required equal to true. Click on save. Now I'm saying that patient name is mandatory. Now here also I'll add the required equal to true. Now let's see what is going to happen. I'll copy this and add it in the input text. Let's say. Let's refresh. We will see that required equal to true later, because whenever we are creating a record, that time it makes sense. Right now we are not creating any records. We are just playing with the UI. On this part we will see later. From the VisualForce page, if I am creating any record, so far we know how to create a fields in the VisualForce page. Next, we will see how to create a record. If I click on your save, what should happen? The record should be created within the Salesforce. Now that time we are going to see required equal to true. How can we use the required field equal to true? Yes, we can do that. That is the next step. Now we have not yet reached to that point. Now next step is we are going to create by using the whatever the account object is there. Right, with the account object, I wanted to display the account fields here and click on a save button. As soon as I click on a save button, the record should be created in the account or in the contact or in the lead or in the opportunity. That we will see. That is the next coming development. So right now we are just understanding how to display the fields into the VisualForce. How to display the fields into the VisualForce. Any questions? Okay, next one is we have another one which is called as a output field. Another one which is called as a output field. Apex colon output field. Okay. Next one is a output field. Now this output field is, now so far we have seen the input text. Input text. Now sometimes what I just need is, instead of asking the user to enter the details here, instead of asking the user to enter the details, I just wanted to display the data. I just wanted to display the data. Now similar to here, now once I click on a save button, what is happening? It is displaying the account name, it is displaying the value. In this case, this is a displaying it. I'm not expecting the user input there. I'm not expecting the user input. I'm just expecting the output field. That means display the data. Whenever we wanted to display the data, then we we will go for an output field. Then we will go for output field. Now it is a self-closed VisualForce component or a VisualForce tag. We use this tag to display the field label and field value of a Salesforce object. You just wanted to display the opportunity name equal to Burlington. I wanted to just display the text. display the label, display the text. In that scenario, we will use the output field. Take a notes of it. Again, the notes. Okay. So let's move on. Output field attributes. What are the attributes that are available within the output field? What are the attributes which are available within the output field? Now, within the output field, attributes are value. Value is basically what is an expression that references the Salesforce field that are associated with the output field. For example, you wanted to display the opportunity name. You wanted to display the opportunity name, or you wanted to display the contact name. You wanted to display the contact name. Then what you will say, value equal to, here in the double quotes, you have to specify the merge field. Merge field, curly braces, exclamation, and let's say here contact dot name. Contact dot name. Now you will specify contact dot name. Any object, Salesforce object, whether it is a standard object or whether it is a custom object, any object field value you wanted to display on the VisualForce page, then what we will do is we will use the output field. We will use the output field. Within the output field, we will specify the value. We will specify the value. We will specify the value. Right? Now, similarly, we have another attribute. Another attribute is, for example, here, if you want to display the output field for an accounts name, in that case, what you will do, you will say value equal to, in the merge fields, in the merge field, that means curly braces exclamation, you will specify the account name, account dot name. Similarly, we have a few more attributes which are called as a title. Title is what is the text that you wanted to display. in the tooltip. Tooltip is nothing but when you go here on the Salesforce side, sometimes we see the tooltips. Whenever the user is hovering on the mouse, right? Whenever they hover here, so what will happen? There is some tooltip is going to display. Now, if I show you here, now for example, I'm hovering on this icon. As soon as I hover on this icon, there is a tooltip is displaying it, which is called as a paste. Right? If I hover on this, it is showing the undo. Similarly, if you want to hover on the field and if you want to display any tooltip, then what we will do is we will use the title. We will use the title. So title is nothing but it is just a whenever you hover on the field, it is going to display the value. And next one is a label. Next one is label. Label is what is the string value to be displayed on the component label. What is the label? So because we have a label and the field value, what is the label that you wanted to display? So that label you need to specify in the output field. And next one we have a ID. ID is nothing but we know that it is a identifier that allows the output field component to be referenced by any other component. Referenced by any other component. Let's take a scenario. Now let's say scenario here is, for example, I wanted to build a UI. I wanted to build a UI. That UI is here on this UI. I wanted to display the opportunity details. I just wanted to display the opportunity name like a or amount or a stage. Like for example, I just wanted to display the opportunity name, right? And I wanted to display the amount and I want to display the stage. I wanted to display the stage. I'm not asking the user to enter here. We are displaying the information to the user. We are displaying the information to the user. We are displaying the information to the user. Now, how can I display the information? For example, here opportunity name. Now, let's take the one opportunity, and here one of the opportunity is called office space. Now I wanted to display here office space. Office space. Now here amount is, I wanted to display the amount, some $10,000. And the stage is, let's say is, stage we have a proposal, or what are the stages we have? Prospecting. Right? This is the values that I wanted to display. Right? Now this is just a display purpose. Now if I wanted to display like this, now what I'll do in the development, I'll go to the development, in development, we'll implement a page, that means VisualForce page. This is a VisualForce page. We'll implement the VisualForce page. This is at the top level. I have a apex colon page. Now here I'll say that apex colon page. Here I'll say apex colon page, and then I'll specify here. Now this is the starting of the apex page, and we'll have a closing of the apex page, apex colon page. I have a closing of the apex page. Now, why I have given the space, I'll tell you later. But this is the by default, it will display. Whenever I implement the Apex VisualForce page, it will display the Apex colon page, which is the open VisualForce tag, and then close VisualForce tag. Close VisualForce tag. Then within that, we are going to use the block. We are going to use the block, page block. I'm dividing the page into the block. I'm dividing the page into the block. Now here, as soon as I added here apex colon page block, apex colon page block, and I'll say here title, equal to opportunity. Title equal to opportunity. This is the apex page block on top, and then bottom also we have a closed one, closed apex colon page block. Closed apex colon page block. Right, as soon as I added, immediately in the UI, there is a one block that gets added here. There is a one UI, there is a gets added here, and which says that it's a opportunity. Now this is on top, opportunity is gets added. Opportunity, right? And then within that, I'm going to divide into section because I wanted to display few details here. I'll say here opportunity, main details. This is main details. I wanted to add main details. If I wanted to divide this section, then what I'll do is within this, I'm going to add one more within the page block. I'm going to add the page block section. I'm going to add page block section. Here we have a apex colon page block section. Page block section. As soon as I add the page block section, immediately on the UI level, apex colon page block section. And then at the bottom, I have a closed one, closed apex colon page block section. Right, as soon as I added, immediately I can see that on the UI level, it is displaying the main details. And here I can add the main details, title equal to main details. Title equal to main details. Let's add here title equal to main details. Right, now within this, I need to display the data to the user. Within this, I need to display the data to the users. What is the data I wanted to display? I wanted to display the data of opportunity details I wanted to display. If I wanted to display the opportunity details, then I have to use the VisualForce tag, which is called as the apex colon output field. Apex colon output field. Apex colon output field, and here I'll specify the value. Value equal to, in double quotes, I wanted to display the opportunity name with nothing but I have to use here merge field, which is called as a curly braces exclamation opportunity dot name. Opportunity dot name. This is self closed. As soon as I have added this, immediately it is going to display it should display this, but what is happening is it displaying this, it will not display. It will not display. I'll tell you what is the reason. Similarly, I wanted to display the apex. I wanted to display the opportunity amount. Now, in order to display the opportunity amount, I need to use the apex colon output field. Output field, and the value equal to, I'll say the merge field, curly braces exclamation, opportunity dot amount. Opportunity dot amount. Opportunity dot amount. Similarly, I wanted to display the another field, which is called as a stage. Opportunity dot stage. Now, if I add directly to the apex VisualForce page, if I add directly to the VisualForce page, immediately it is going to throw me an error. Immediately it is going to throw me an error. For example, I'm adding here. Now let's say add it here within the page block. No. Let's say what it is saying here, it is saying that unknown property opportunity. Unknown property opportunity referenced in the VisualForce page. Unknown property VisualForce page. Unknown property is opportunity. That means whenever I specify here curly braces explanation the object name, VisualForce is not able to identify what is this opportunity. It is not able to identify what is this opportunity. Immediately it has thrown an error message. Immediately it shown an error message. Immediately it shown an error message. Now here, why this error message is happening? Because system is not able to understand what is this opportunity. What is this opportunity is system. Basically, the VisualForce page is not able to understand this, right? After dot, that is the later part, but this is not able to understand by the, it is not able to understand the, what is this opportunity. Now, who has to tell this? This is an object. Somebody has to tell the VisualForce page, this output field tag, this is an opportunity is an object. Now, for output field, for this VisualForce tag, somebody has to tell that, okay, this is the object, which is a name as an opportunity. Now, who is going to tell? The Apex page has to tell to the Apex output field. Apex page has to inform. Apex page has to inform saying that whatever the you are using it here, it's an object. It's an object. How can you say that in the Apex page? In the Apex page, we have a one of the attribute which is called as a standard controller. Standard controller. Standard controller equal to, I have to say here opportunity. I have to say opportunity. When I say opportunity, here standard controller equal to opportunity. When I specify this opportunity, then immediately page is going to pass everybody inside whoever is there, that on the page level we are referring the object called opportunity. In case if you hear opportunity keyword anywhere, assume that opportunity is an object. Now output field is heard about the opportunity. It is going to ask the Apex page. Now do you know the opportunity keyword? I'm not able to identify. Then Apex page is going to pass. Now opportunity is a standard controller. Opportunity is a standard controller. That means this is the object. Now output field is going to understand, okay, this is a standard object. It is a object in the Salesforce. Now once it is identified, yes, this is an object. Now it will go to the object and it will verify. The next step is it is going to verify what is this name. Is it a field within the object or not? Yes, it is a field. Now similarly, it is going to cross verify the amount. Is it a field within the object? Is it a field within the object? Yes, if it is a field in the object, now immediately it is going to display the information on the UI. Now you will be able to see the opportunity name and it will display the value of the opportunity name. Similarly, opportunity amount, it will display the opportunity amount and what is the value of it. And the stage, it is giving the stage and whatever the value is there, it is displaying the stage. Now in the output field, we are not specifying the output label. We are not specifying the output label and we are not specifying any field here. What is happening when it verify that, okay, this is the object, this is the field. At the field level, you have a two values, right? At the field level, you have a field label and the field API. Field API. Right? Now automatically at the field level, whatever the label is there, that the same label will be displayed on the UI. You need not to separately specify the label name. In case if you want to modify, you can modify. That we can see later. In case if you want to modify, you can modify. That we can see later. So this is how we use the output field. Output field is specifically to display the Salesforce field label and the value as it is on the Salesforce, whatever is there exactly same. If you want to view in the VisualForce page, Then we are going to use the output field to display the data in the VisualForce page. Not only the Salesforce standard, not only the Salesforce standard, it is a different. Now it is even in the object level, or if you are coding it, you wanted to display whatever the output is there, you wanted to display those values also. If you want to display it, then you can use the output field. You can use the output field. Output field, there are two things are there here: input field, output field. Input field, output field. Input field is nothing but to display to ask the user to enter. User has to enter the details in the input. Output field is nothing but where we are displaying the data. Output field is nothing but where we are displaying the data. Whatever the data we wanted to display, we can display the data. So two things are there: input field, output field. So we will use going further how to use the output field, because in order to use the output field, you need to understand the standard controller and some concept you need to understand. Then we can implement an example going further. Now take a notes of it. Yes, the data which is already there in the object, we are displaying the information. Take a notes of it. Is it done? Yes, field API. What are the API name is there, that field API name we have to refer. On this API name, you have to specify here what are the field API name. For example, if your API name is active, right? So in that case, what you will do is, now you have a field called custom field called active. So in that case, curly braces exclamation opportunity dot active. Active is the custom field. Custom field. You need to specify this. Completed, taken the notes. Okay. Now, the logic that we have written here, right? Now, whatever the apex form is there, within the apex form, I'm not including the apex form for each block. I'm not including the apex form for each block. Form is basically at the overall I have. Overall, I have within this, I can include multiple blocks. Within this, multiple blocks I can include it. So apex form, for example, if I remove the apex form here. Now I'm removing the apex form. Now let me save before removing it. Now I'll remove the apex form. Right? I'm saving it. Now what is asking it is asking that it must occur between the tag. Now am I including the apex form for each block? No, I'm not including for each block. And overall, I'm writing the apex form. Overall, I'm writing the apex form. That means within the form, I can include multiple blocks. I'm not saying that one form is for this block, another form is for another block. No, I'm not saying that. It has to be at the very next to the apex page. Very next to apex page. Now it has to be there form at the very high level. We are not writing the apex colon form for the every block. No, it's at the very high level we are writing the apex form. Is that your question, Kishore, Kumar, or no, Kranti, whoever it is? Okay, so let's move on. Now here the question is, let's see, apex colon input text used for
User to enter the data.
so options are here, 3 options are there. Which option is right?
Display user input text.
To display user input text.
To display
Input text.
Input text.
text field. Apex colon input secret. For which
Pass-
do we use
Password.
password? Which tag do we use to implement a upload file in VisualForce page?
Input file.
Put file.
Input file. How can we display the apex colon command button tag with pre-built styles?
Page block button.
Page block.
Page block button. Now take a homework. Take a homework. Now here I have a company details. Within the company details, employee personal details, employee laptop details. Employee personal details, employee laptop details. Within the employee personal details, I have an employee first name, which is a text, employee last name, which is a text, employee address is a which is a text area, and employee phone number is a text, employee ID is a text. And then we have a login username, password, and username should be as usual, it is a text, and password should be a secret PIN number. And still working with the company has to be checkbox and choose the file. So choose any file from your local system. And then at the bottom save button where it is displaying, save button is displaying at the bottom on corner. Now right side it is displaying it. It is on the bottom, right side it is displaying it. Yes, so that's all for today.